because it's you and the table.
Oh,
The screen in the front doesn't show you what's actually all on camera.
Gotcha.
So I can see from the wall right behind you up to about here.
Oh, where?
Because it's a bit of a fisheye.
Oh, it's your setup, man. You're doing great.
Thanks, man.
Of course, brother.
Appreciate you. I'm going to pour you a little bit right there. I'm going to
Awesome.
pour me a little bit right there.
Should you be coming through my headphones right now?
Only if you want me to.
Yeah, I want to hear your sexy voice.
Can you hear it now? Yeah. All right, actually, say something.
Something.
Aim it at your mouth. Nice. But then drop it low because now I can see your face
Yeah,
while it's
there we
aimed
go.
at your mouth.
Something.
Nice.
Something.
Cool.
Dark
All
side.
right. We're live.
We are live. Cheers, brother.
Cheers, but thank you so much for coming back on the
course.
show.
It has been way too long. Oh, that's really good.
So good.
That's really good for 7 a.m.
It's almost 7 a.m. It's about to be 7 in a couple hours.
Listen,
This is just a silly thing.
it is 6 p.m. somewhere, right?
It sure is. I'm gonna do this. Buddy, you are my first returning guest.
Am I really?
You are my first returning guest. That includes even as far back as when I did this back in 2019.
Oh, wow.
When I first started this and I used a weird little camera that you have yours that's tracking you and all of that. It's a little. That's fine. It did a bad job and it streamed it right to YouTube, and so I couldn't go in and edit it.
Oh, it's one of
And
those.
I went back and I looked at one of those videos, and it's me and a friend, Lucy, and it just cuts like on her mug a couple times while she's talking, and I'm like, that's bad, that's stupid. Why are we looking at that? But first person since all the way back then to come on twice. I really appreciate you. I love you. I'm happy to have you here.
Dude.
Let's get into it.
I'm so happy to be here. It's been since the last time I was here. It's obviously been, and we can get into this if you want. A very challenging and transformative few months. But it is an absolute pleasure to come back on. And I've been wanting to come back for months, and obviously we haven't had the opportunity because life has been lifing really hard. But it's fun to come back with a new perspective on the things that we spoke about initially. Because I feel with everything that's happened over the last few months in my life personally, like such a different person, but so much more rooted in the foundation that I was already putting down in our first conversation.
You are free to say anything you want on here. If you want to get into it, you're welcome to. If you want it left out, that's also fine.
Yeah, well, I mean,
It's up to you.
it's not the elephant in the room, but obviously not many people know about this outside of our circle and my friends and family.
I can also cut around this conversation.
No,
Like,
yeah,
no,
no,
let's not.
No,
let's not.
We'll leave it
Yeah.
in. We'll leave it in because it's. I think it's important for people to hear. My wife, for not to sugarcoat anything, almost died. And she's a good friend of yours. We've been together now for. Goes both ways.
Yeah. I know she's a work friend.
more of an associate than anything else.
Yeah. No, I love her so much.
Yeah, she got really sick in December after obviously working a ton, because that's what happens when you're in hospitality. You work way more than you should, and even post-pandemic, when we thought that whatever we did coming out of that, we would always put a focus on our health, that kind of just went out the window. So she had gotten really, really sick in December, and just kind of come back to work like, all right, well, I only had time to recover just enough to show back up to work. And I was in the same boat because I had also been sick. But it turns out that she was a lot sicker than we realized. She had strep throat, which had manifested as the flu because she's prone to getting strep throat.
Okay.
And this is one of the only years that I remember her going, oh, for once I didn't get strep throat this year. That's a miracle. Turns out she did, which caused an infection, which spread to her heart, and she'd had a heart defect. And she'd been really fatigued through January, really fatigued through February, and ended up having to leave work. And she was like, I can't work anymore. I'm way too tired. I'm way too run down. I just need time to recover and to rest and to reset. And at the time, both of us had already been on our way out. We had kind of wanted to prioritize our personal time together, the things that we really wanted to focus on. We wanted to take a season to reinvent ourselves and try something different. And she'd already been on that path of going, I don't really want to do this anymore. I don't want to be a server. I love the opportunity to come into a space and create a great environment for people and great experience for people, but it just wasn't working with what she was doing anymore. And she was so run down and so fatigued that we were both like, you know what, we're overworked. Let's just take a break. Yeah. Let's just take time off. And I put in 6 weeks notice, and she was starting to have a little bit of joint pain. I was like, you're on your feet too much. You're working too much. Like, this is a lesson. Like we said, after the pandemic, we would take care of our health. This is the time to take a step back. Turns out she didn't get any better. And the infection that she had caught from strep throat had apparently spread through her body and torn apart one of her heart valves, which she had a heart defect from, or she had a heart defect previously. And the valve that she had a heart defect with, or at, I don't really know how to phrase it, is what the infection tore apart.
Got it.
Because it was just kind of prone to being like, well, it doesn't really work that well anyway. Here we go. Let's just rip it apart. So she'd been really, really sick, and things got really, really scary. So we rushed her to the ER, and at the point that we had rushed her to the ER, she was pretty much non-responsive. She was awake, she was aware, but it was really delayed in her responses. She was having a hard time even staying awake. She was very pale. She had lost about 45 pounds in 2 months.
Oof.
And leading up to it, I'd really been taking care of her and making sure she was okay. And we didn't really want to tell anybody what was going on because we're young. She's in her late 20s. I'm in my late 30s. And while, yes, there are things you always want to look out for, at our age, it's easy to explain those things away.
Right.
It's easy to go, oh, I'm just really tired.
Yeah.
Oh, I have joint pain. This must be a flare-up of, an old ballet injury she had. And it wasn't until the weekend we took her to the hospital I was like, oh, we need to get you some serious help. And we checked in the ER, and teams of doctors who were amazing, phenomenal, made us feel so safe and made us feel so welcome. Because you never know what kind of treatment you're going to get in the emergency room. Right. You never know what level of care they're going to give you based on how serious they think your symptoms are. And it's doctor after doctor, the heart team, the cardiology team, and I'm going, what? She's tired. She's malnourished because she hasn't been eating. She hasn't, she's super fatigued. She's lost a lot of weight because she's so tired she can't eat. Why are you looking at her heart? Right. Come to find out there are all these things. So she ended up having emergency heart surgery the day we brought her in. We didn't realize how serious it was until the doctors had come up to me post-surgery the day after, and they were like, listen, if you hadn't brought her in when you did, she wouldn't have made it through the day, which is terrifying to hear.
That's a wild thing to have someone say to your face.
Yeah.
24-ish hours longer. And
what's even crazier is a few weeks removed, when she started to recuperate and she was starting to wake up and she was starting to do physical therapy, she had a couple of her doctors come in and be like, you don't understand. If you had come in 2 hours later, you wouldn't have made it. Like, that's how close it was. And you don't think about those things.
Oh my God.
You don't think about those things. So
sorry to cut you off.
No, go for it.
Did you at any point, like while you guys are at home, think why don't we sleep on it and see if you feel any different in the morning, or any of those things that could have easily been
every day it was like, she's sleeping, she's fine.
Yeah.
It's when she's awake, she has some joint pain, she's having a hard time getting up. Got to the point that I was physically helping her walk to the bathroom and walk back to bed. She couldn't stand on her own. The infection and the heart valve being torn apart caused a series of strokes that, in hindsight, we're like, oh, that's what that was.
Yeah.
But in the moment, it's like it wasn't manifesting as what you think a stroke looks like. There was a day that she was a little slurry, and it was the day that she put her notice in where she was like really having a hard time keeping it together. She was like, she had developed a tremor. It was all this scary stuff.
Yeah.
So obviously, she goes through recovery, and we're all looking back going, okay, let's put the pieces together.
Keep talking.
Okay, on this day you felt like this is what was happening, and that's what was going on. On this day you felt like this, oh, this was the infection doing this thing. And it was, to your question, every day we were like, oh, let's just sleep it off.
Yeah.
You'll feel better in the morning. Oh, if it's joint pain, it's raining outside. It must be the pressure flaring up your joints, because outside of the joint pain, she was just really tired. So every day it was like, oh, we'll sleep it off. We'll see how you feel in the morning. And it wasn't until the week before we went to the hospital, I was like waiting for it. I knew. I was like, we're gonna have to go to the hospital. I'm gonna have to take you. I just don't know when. And she didn't want to go because she just felt tired.
Yeah.
And it's not until you look at things with 2020 hindsight, you go, oh, we should have prioritized our health way more.
Did she resist going on the day that she went?
No.
She was like, okay, no, you're right.
Yeah. She actually doesn't remember most of the day. She doesn't remember most of the weekend.
Interesting.
Yeah. There were conversations we had where I was, I had my moments where I was like, I'm really scared. I don't know what's wrong. Like, I'm really trying to take care of you. I'm really, really trying to do what's best. And she did everything she could to reassure me, because in her mind, she's like, I'm just tired.
Yeah.
And that's how it manifests. And we've looked into other people who have heart failure, and that's how it manifests. I'm just tired. Oh, I got a little swelling in my legs. It's nothing. And then suddenly it's something.
Yeah.
So it's wild to think about. And now that we're far enough removed that she's made pretty much a full recovery in the last 3 months.
Yay. Very exciting.
From being bedbound to...
So is she back to work?
No.
I'm joking.
No. There's a hard line in the sand where it's like, we're not going back to work until at least September.
Good.
And when we do go back to work...
Take the summer.
Yeah, we're not doing what we did last time.
No.
And we said it coming out of the pandemic that we wouldn't allow ourselves to get to this point. And even when I took the job in management at Happiest, one of the only reasons I took the job was because we were working together. But I was so resistant to doing anything else hospitality related, because I knew it's so easy for your boundaries to just get infringed on. Mm-hmm. And someone to just step over the line a little more, and then you go, all right, I'll take a step back. And then someone steps over the line a little more, and you take a step back. And suddenly your boundaries are gone.
Somebody.
Many people,
to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to find yourself in a place where you're just working a lot, and you think that the reason you're spending so much time working, and you're putting your health off to the side, your personal well-being off to the side, you're not prioritizing self-care because, oh, I'm making money. This is only for a season. Mm-hmm. And I think it's important to have those seasons of, all right, we're doing some really, really intense work, and we have a goal, and we know that at the end of this season of intense work, we are going to have a break, and we're going to take a step back and reassess and almost realign ourselves with what we want to do, because it's easy to get on the wrong track. And I found that the track that I was on felt like it was the right path for me. but oftentimes a path that you'll step on is actually parallel to the path that you want to be, and it's just close enough that you go, oh no, this is the right thing to do, and then suddenly it starts to veer off course ever so slightly, and then 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 3 years down the line, you're in a completely different space and a completely different trajectory than where you want it to be because you started off with good intentions, and you didn't allow yourself to set the boundaries and realign yourself with the direction you actually needed to be going in. And that's where we found ourselves. And the biggest lesson is we let things go too far. In our health, in the time that we lost together. That was the big thing. Aside from her being really sick and having this near-death experience, for both of us, what the fuck was I saying?
Time you lost.
Yeah, sorry. It's sorry.
It's a lot.
It's a lot, and it's so. I haven't been able to have a conversation like this in a long time.
So it's flooding.
So it's flooding. It's hard to parse out the thoughts and go, all right, I'm gonna follow this trajectory and that trajectory. We lost a lot of time. Now that she's fully recovered, looking back on everything, not just the time that she was sick, I think a few months before, it was the first year of our marriage, we sacrificed.
Yeah.
To work at a place that didn't care about us, to give our time and energy to people, not the people we worked with, but the environment, to people that we didn't resonate with, to spend time in a place that didn't feed us and that just drained us because it felt like it was just close enough to the path that we should be on. Mm-hmm. That it's like, all right, we'll just stay in a few more months. And then there's a trap of, well, what am I going to do?
Yeah. I remember you and I having the conversations way back, like I left in January. And then I think you left when, like mid-February? Early March?
Early March.
I remember you and I talking last summer, like Halloween. Mm-hmm. Or, my birthday's at the end of September, like birthday weekend.
Yep.
Like I'm not working on my fucking birthday weekend. Mm-hmm. And it just, okay, fine, I'll do holiday season because it'll be, like you said, it'll be worth it financially. Yeah. And, I was making decent money, and because I was doing that, I was saying yes to everything. And so, saying yes to everything costs money. So, a wedding in Mexico at an all-inclusive resort that a couple of my bougie friends picked. So, it's a bougie resort. So, you're doing the all-inclusive and it's not cheap, but it's really nice.
Yeah.
And I hadn't had a vacation. So it was a 4-day wedding and I took 3 extra days because I was there and it was wedding block pricing, which was still expensive. And then, I had a bachelor party and 3 weddings in the fall. And it was just like every other weekend. Mm-hmm. And so going through holiday season made sense. You can always tell yourself that it makes sense in the moment. But, when you are in it, you're miserable. But you don't realize how miserable except in those little moments. I always had those little moments on Tuesday nights when it was empty and I was alone, except with Juan Daniel, who doesn't speak English. So I was alone because I love him to death, but you can't have a conversation, unfortunately. So I'm sitting there alone, just waiting for 12:30 to roll around so I can lock the door and then sit and then wait until 1 so I can clock out for no real important reason. Those were the moments I realized how miserable I was. But outside of that, you just kind of, I know I was a little bit raised to, grin and bear it, push through, work hard. I think I'm one of the hardest working guys I know. So, push through. But there is a price that you pay for doing that.
Yeah.
And I think the expression is burning the candle at both ends. I was aiming one of those Tesla blowtorches at it and
Oh, man.
melting it from all angles.
You and me
there
both.
for a while. You and me. I mean, what we were talking about off camera earlier. You know, we brought a certain good energy in, but we also, I mean, it's not normal for you to be in the middle of a shift, in the middle of a normal work week, and duck around the corner and take a shot real quick.
Yeah.
That's not a normal way to go about existing in your work life, which is a thing that for you more than me, because I think you hit 40 hours every week.
Between 32 and like 38.
Okay.
Not including my other job.
Right.
Yeah.
I would hit 32 to 34 consistently. And then you're asleep, and then there's commuting, and then your other jobs, and then you get like a few hours every day to like relax. And so that's not a way to exist in those majority hours of your life. It's wild that we do it though.
Yeah, I think it's so normal, especially in the hospitality industry, if you're not careful, to make the wrong sacrifices, make excuses for the wrong sacrifices. Oh, I'm sacrificing my holidays. I'm not gonna spend time with my family because I have to be here. Because the importance isn't about my time, it's about the experience of others. And
I've never been about that one. I've never been. It's important that this restaurant's open on Christmas.
But when people get to a point where this is their career and their livelihood, and they're like, this is what they want, lifers. For them, it's an easy sacrifice because this is what they want to do. And I don't want to speak on anybody else's behalf, but it is normal to work holidays.
It is.
In hospitality. But when it's not the end goal, or when you find that you've done it enough and you're like, I need to do something else, and you're around people that are going, no, this sacrifice is normal. I need you to work Christmas Eve on a Sunday and stay here till midnight, and it's 10 degrees outside, and every other bar in the neighborhood is closed. But just in case one person comes in, we need a full staff. And it's like, this is a waste of time that I'm never going to get back. It's a sacrifice I'm not willing to make, because what's the return?
The owners weren't even getting a return on that one.
No.
Like, they were losing money. The only people that were gaining money was Con Ed, because our lights were on and our music was on.
Yeah.
Like, that is the only profit that occurred from us being open on that particular day. I got so frustrated on Mondays when we would be forced to keep the server on until 10:30 because that's when the kitchen closes, and there's one table and 0 bar guests, and it's 9:45, and I'm not, like, Tuesdays I was the closing manager. I still have my key, by the way.
So do I.
Yeah. I was the closing manager, and on Tuesdays I would send whomever home whenever I wanted. But on Monday, I would need to go to Robin, and she would be like, well, we sometimes get that 9:30 pop. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What? The two table? And I would look at her, and I feel bad about the tone that I said it, but I don't feel bad because I was right. It's like, Robin, I can take 2 tables and bartend.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and that's what I mean about like the sacrifice, right? Because suddenly you become beholden to someone else's vision. And if the person on top isn't making you feel safe, but they still expect you to execute on their vision, you're going to not step into your own confidence and leadership skills.
yeah.
So a lot of times, myself included, I found that Robin and me in particular, Robin more so, who, for those listening who don't know, was the AGM at the place that we worked at. She was really cautious about making decisions on her own because she was afraid that there would be either some retribution or she would be screamed at. And it was just a toxic relationship where it's like, I'm not trusted to do my job, to make the calls that I feel are right for the staff, for the venue, and as a leader, to just get the job done, because that's what I was hired for, to operate things the way they should be operated, because the person above me might look at the cameras and go, oh, why is this person not there? And it's like, well, I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm making the decisions. I was hired to be trusted to do the job, to execute on the job. And if there's no level of safety there, then everyone's afraid to make a decision.
It's wild. And also, for the record, she thought that those things would happen because they did happen often and repeatedly. She did get screamed at for making these small, I'm not going to say mistakes, the smallest of decisions that slightly went against the grain of slightly normal. Like, it was bananas. I don't understand why she would get screamed at for stuff like that. And then, on Monday, and then I would do the same thing on Tuesday. And I don't know if it was the way that she was looked at as a person or as an AGM, or if it was a closeness thing. Maybe Jess, I'll say names. I'll fucking write receipts. I don't know if Jess knew that she couldn't speak to me that way.
I think so.
I don't know, but like I would send Jasmine home on Tuesdays with Jess still in the building. And like I would send Dan home. I would be like, we're going bare bones at 8:45 because it's just not happening tonight. 6 people in the door. And she would look at me and she'd be like, you sure? And I'm like, yes. And she's like, okay.
Yeah.
And like that was it. Like there wasn't even any like, I don't know if you should. It was just like, you got this? I'm like, yes. It's me. Juan Daniel's a king. I just need a good bar back, and then I'm good.
Well, I think
like
it's interesting because I had a very similar experience, especially towards the end of my time there. There is a night that sticks out to me, which kind of like encapsulates A, the problem, but B, their relationship. There was a night that Dan had way too much to drink. Yeah. Were you still there for this?
I don't know.
Okay.
Which time?
There was a night that
I love Dan, but which time?
He was fighting with his girlfriend, and she worked at a bar around the corner, and he went to see her, and I don't know if they got into, I don't know what kind of toxicity was happening at the time.
Sure.
But he had way too much to drink, to the point that he comes up to me, he goes, dude, I can't be here. He's like, I am way too drunk to do my job right now. And Dan has never said that to me.
Dan always pushes through.
He always pushes through. It was always Jess or Robin going, we got to send him home.
Yeah.
He had never once been like, and that would be at like 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Right? It's 9 p.m. And he's going, bro, if you can send me home because I am not okay.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we felt that the best course of action was to keep him for as long as we could. I was like, listen, drink a ton of water, sit down, hang out. We don't have anybody.
Right.
There's no one here that can take over for you. So we'll do our best to work with you, work around you, but you got to hang in there for a couple hours at least.
Warm body. Yeah.
And myself and Robin, we decided, you know what? Jess isn't here. The GM isn't here. We're handling this on our own because I'm tired of escalating it and then things getting blown out of proportion. We should be able to do this on our own. We're going to do it on our own. And then when the GM's here tomorrow, we'll talk to them and we'll break it down and we'll explain our reasoning. And that'll be that. Mm-hmm. And I remember the next day, Jess came in and I sat her down. I was like, listen, this is what happened. This is the call that we made. Whether you agree with it or not, it worked out. And I felt it was the best course of action because we were so short-staffed.
But didn't we lose roughly $39 in sales that really could have helped her bonus at the end of the year?
1,000%.
Yeah.
And
how did she respond? Yeah.
She goes, okay, I wouldn't have done that. I would have sent him home. But okay, cool. She's like, I think we should write him up and send him home today and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, I
whatever.
was there for that.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
And I was
Because
like,
remember.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
This is a great conversation.
Yeah.
Awesome. 5 minutes later, Robin walks through the door. She walks in the office and Jess tears her a new one.
About this?
About the exact same issue. Why didn't you tell me? You should have fucking told me. This is not okay.
Yeah.
And it just highlighted, the boundaries that we spoke about earlier that had just been completely eroded. Their quote unquote closeness, which empowered her to feel like it was okay to talk down to supposedly one of her best friends and really, really dress her down within the first 5 minutes of her coming in, but also to have two completely different conversations about the same topic. Yeah. And I don't want to make assumptions about whether or not it was because I'm a man and she's a woman, but there was a clear boundary that I did my best to establish, where it was like, you, cannot talk to me the way you talk to anybody else here. I've seen you get wasted and heard about you coming in at 5, 6 in the morning and flipping out on everyone because they're not hanging out with you because you feel left out. And you're so much closer to everyone else that you feel like you can talk to people in a way that is hella disrespectful. You're not allowed to do that with me. And 2, we're professionals. I should be trusted to make a decision. And I made a decision not on my own. And we made it work. No biggie. Cool.
Yeah.
If you, moving forward, if you wanted us to handle things a certain way, then we can have a conversation. Shouldn't happen again moving forward, but cool. But the fact that we had 2 separate conversations about the same topic, handled 2 different ways. Remember Robin coming out of the office and she was so upset. And she was like, she just screamed at me. She just went off. I was like, we just had the most peaceful conversation about this situation. And it was so frustrating. So I was like, this is not okay.
Well, that's not a friend.
It's not a friend.
That's not Robin.
No.
I love Robin.
Mm-hmm.
Robin and I have our differences, but I have nothing but love. I thought you were gonna pour it in for a second.
Thinking about it.
I mean,
I might.
It is almost 7 a.m.
6:45.
Yeah, nothing but love and empathy for that situation, but that's not a friend. And I wish she could see that. Yeah. Or maybe she does, and she's just, this is my lot in life right now.
I think she
and
does.
It goes back to, I'm doing this, and she's making the wrong sacrifices.
Right. I think she does, and
for her,
those
I
sacrifices,
think is mental health, and which affects her physical health because, like, and again, no judgment. It's just the lifestyle. We should not be drinking every day. That's just not how we're supposed to exist. More whiskey?
Yes, please.
Nice.
Just a tiny bit.
Finish what you got. I don't want to pour into watered down and then keep it going.
No, I agree, and that's what I was saying earlier. It's the wrong sacrifices become so normalized in pursuit of whatever the greater goal was when you first started. But it's really easy to lose track of that greater goal.
Yeah. And
I think you and I are very fortunate in that even though it was a struggle for us and we were unhappy at the end, we did make a lot of sacrifices that in mine and my wife's case, extremely bit us in the ass to the point that I almost lost my wife, my best friend. Like,
whoa.
You're number 2, bro.
Okay.
All right.
We're just like, I'm right here.
I know, but we're live.
She got sick, but she also got better. So let's not. Okay. It's dark. It's dark roast humor.
I mean, obviously she's a lot better now, so I'm a lot lighter. But even between the two of us, she has such a great sense of humor about it. But there are moments where it's like, oh my God, we went through that. Yeah. And there's a lot of trauma, and there's a lot of PTSD behind it, and it serves as a really, really serious and harsh reminder of the boundaries that we need to continually set firm.
So, good segue. if you're ready.
I'm always ready.
June is very, like, notably Pride Month.
Mm-hmm.
A little less known is it's also Men's Mental Health Awareness Month.
I always forget that.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
That's awesome.
It's one of those things that doesn't get talked about as much. I'm very happy that I'm seeing more and more of it in my Instagram feed. There's clothing brands that are coming out that are targeted specifically to men for their mental health, and it like a couple more podcasts are talking about it, and I think one of them is talking about it right now.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, we are. So that being said, what are you doing post all of this as a guy in New York City to prioritize your mental health?
Writing a lot more.
Tell me about that.
This is another good segue.
Interesting.
So
I have another good segue.
amazing. Can I
Great.
write it later?
What? Right? Fun fact, the guy who invented the Segway segued off a cliff and
Yeah.
died. That is not a joke.
I
That is
did know that.
actually how that
That's
man passed
wild.
away.
That's wild.
I think God is real. because how does I get, like, you can say, okay, no, this universe happened by accident. We exist, atoms smashed together, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
That's a really good question.
God is real.
He has a
Yeah.
twisted sense of humor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But he's like, my aunts will enjoy this.
When prior to everything happening, one of my main focuses going into taking this job at the Happiest was to reaffirm my skills as a leader, as a manager, as a coach, because coming out of the pandemic, I was really disconnected from the impact I wanted to make. I didn't feel like I was making that impact anymore. And part of it was being so disconnected from society, from the pandemic, because we were so secluded. Part of that was coming back to teaching group fitness classes and not having the community that I had prior to the pandemic, because people move and people go to different states and they're not taking the same classes, whatever it was. So I had to rebuild all of that. But a big thing leading into me leaving was starting to take these ideas of what it means to be a true leader, what it means to be a coach, what it means to show up and be as authentic and empathetic as possible, so I can make the biggest, most positive impact and influence around my own circle. Forget about changing the world. It's just, how can I change my world and use that change to create ripples that I may never see that will change other people's worlds. And a big part of that is starting to write down these ideas and tie them into my identity and who I wanted to show up as authentically. And I think coming out of this near-death experience, this transformational experience that I've been through, my wife has been through, it's really leaning into, I don't need to show up for anybody in any way other than the way I want to show up. So if I want to be as authentic as possible, I need to take these ideas and write them out and see how that ties into my mental state day by day, and see what resonates with me and see what doesn't. And it's not, sure, it's journaling sometimes, where it's like, my day is like this and I feel like this. But other times it's just going, how do I want to show up? How do I want to empower the men in my life? And I love the fact that you and I can sit here and have these vulnerable, loving conversations. I love you. I love you. Like, I love you, Justin. And I love that I can be around other men and say that vulnerably, 100% authentically. And again, it comes back down to every day I'm reaffirming, writing down, okay, this is the impact I want to have. This is the day I want to have. This is how I want to go about my life and present myself. And writing it out is just an anchor and a reminder of like, okay, I wrote it out. This sticks with me. It's not just this idea that floats in the wind and hits me and then floats away because I forget it. Because my ADHD brain is like, ooh,
Yeah.
more whiskey, you know? So that's where it started. And I really want that to resonate into the rest of the work that I'm doing. So I've shared with you before that I'm building this leadership workshop.
Mm-hmm.
And I have like the framework for what I want the workshop to be. And a lot of it has to do with connection. A lot of it has to do with tonality, how you're speaking to people, and just providing value to the people around you. Less about what the job is and less about, especially when it comes to hospitality, going back to those sacrifices of like, we have to be here for X amount of hours to make this amount of sales. Like, fuck that. I don't care about that. How can we show up to empower the people around us to feel great? How can I enter someone's space and make it so that when they walk away, our interaction has made the most positive difference in their lives? So yeah, I've just been writing about the ideas I have and the intentions I have.
When, pardon me, writing into, like you said, journaling a little bit, just kind of getting it out. Is this ever going to culminate into something that you put out, or is this yeah?
Yeah.
Not the workshop. I mean, like the writing itself.
Maybe. Initially, a few years ago, my buddy Lenny and I had a podcast called Rise to the Occasion.
Yes.
And it's a name that always stuck with me. And even though we started out Rise to the Occasion as our brand, it's something that's definitely been more an idea that I've kind of just rolled around in my head and kind of made my own. So I think eventually...
You would say that you rose...
To the occasion?
To the occasion?
I did. Or I will be.
Interesting.
If you're listening to this, Justin is raised the microphone above his head.
Sure did.
I would like to write a book.
Interesting.
And I would like to take all these ideas with the leadership workshop and the thoughts I've captured for myself and my journaling of how I want to live my life. I would like to write something one day and put it all together and make it a cohesive product where someone can look at it and go, okay, I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And I love these lessons.
Yeah.
Because like every book is a lifetime worth of lessons. And I've read so many books that have made an impact on me of lives that people have lived. Why can't my story be equally inspiring to someone else?
If not more, because I know we inspire ourselves every day to do things, but we also are in our heads 24/7. And so we also deal with our beating ourselves down, our negative thoughts, our, oh, maybe I'm not good enough. Oh, if I can't do it perfectly, why do it at all? You know, and then, you know, you have a book like what you're describing, or like Atomic Habits, or like a David Goggins, or a Gary Vee, or any of these books where these guys who have accomplished great things are motivating you to do great things for yourself. And, you know, we're reading their words without the negative thoughts, without the fear of failure, without any of that. Or, you know, maybe some of them are putting it in there and I just haven't encountered that yet. But, you know, I think it's definitely a thing that would inspire at least this guy over here.
I got you covered, buddy.
Yeah.
I'll send you all my rantings and scribblings.
I don't read, though, so audiobook would be greatly appreciated. Narrated by Stephen Fry, because that guy's voice. His voice. The timbre of his voice, the accent.
He read a series of books on, I want to say Greek mythology.
Oh yeah. He wrote them.
Did he?
I only
have the audiobooks. I didn't know.
If we're thinking of the same books that I think we are, he wrote them. 2 of them.
Okay.
Stephen Fry books.
I didn't realize he'd written them. I thought he just, because I have the audiobooks.
Mythos, Heroes, and Troy. Yeah, he wrote them. Yeah. The guy's a genius.
So good.
The guy is one of my favorite people in media and entertainment. And I first discovered him, and I don't know if you ever watched this. My buddy Logan, shout out Logan.
What's up, Logan?
Put me on to a bit of Fry and Laurie.
I don't know what that is.
It is a Key and Peele style sketch comedy show with Stephen Fry and Hugh Laurie when they are in their 30s that aired on the BBC. And it is brilliant. It's peak British comedy. There's an entire sketch about Hugh Laurie in a restaurant as a customer and Stephen Fry as the waiter. And Hugh Laurie keeps trying to order soup, but Stephen Fry keeps bringing him a suit. And it's so stupid, but it's so good. It's Key and Peele before Key and Peele.
Speaking of British comedies like that, have you ever seen Spaced?
I don't think so.
So it's Simon Pegg and his buddy
Nick
Frost. Nick Frost, and they play roommates. And it came out before Shaun of the Dead. It is hilarious. It's like 2 seasons, and it's most of the cast of Shaun of the Dead.
I'm in.
And actually, Shaun of the Dead came out from an idea of one of the episodes where he's playing Resident Evil. And the first 3 minutes, he's playing Resident Evil, but it starts off as like a zombie movie.
Yeah.
And it's just in his house, and there's zombies everywhere, and he gets attacked. And that's where the idea for Shaun of the Dead came.
I love that.
But it's fucking hilarious.
I love Shaun of the Dead, although that trilogy of movies, I think The World's End is better.
Really?
I think it is one of Simon Pegg's best performances. Have you seen it?
I have. It's actually my least favorite of the trilogy.
I think Simon Pegg is doing a masterclass of playing you got the guy who's trying to reunite the gang, for people who don't know. Guy who's trying to reunite his gang of childhood friends for a bar crawl where they hit 10 bars, and the last bar on the crawl is The World's End. That's the name of the bar. And along the way, it turns into an alien invasion, they're going to destroy the earth type movie. Simon Pegg is giving a masterclass performance in that as a guy who never grew up, Peter Pan syndrome, who's facing the reality of the world and rejecting it, and rejecting himself, and rejecting everything that isn't his friends drinking in bars, deals head on with trauma, with men's mental health. It's on brand. I don't know if you remember, he tries to kill himself in it.
He does.
He's got the bandages on his wrists and the hospital band, and I think it's underrated. I think that's one of his best performances.
From that approach, absolutely. But as like a funny popcorn movie,
as a funny, but yeah. Well, I mean, Shaun of the Dead. That's one of those movies that me and my dad quote back and forth all the time, and you'll never guess what the quote is. You'll never guess because it's stupid.
What is it?
One or the other will go back and forth. We'll do the and then the other person from the other side of the house. I'll be upstairs and I'll just go and I'll hear my dad go it's stupid. But we've been doing that since the trailer.
Yeah,
because if you remember, that's the end of the trailer. Yeah,
I remember watching the trailer in the movie, and I don't remember what I was going to see. It's like the year 2000. And I remember when the trailer aired and that bit at the end, when it ended, I was like, I have to see that movie. Yeah. And it was one of those things where it's like, is this coming out in the US? Because I'd never seen a British movie advertised in an American theater before.
Right.
So I was like, is this coming to the States?
Such a silly thing to think about, but that's how it was back then.
Right.
We could watch it on the BBC 8 years after it went to British theaters, but there just wasn't a market over here, so they wouldn't release it.
Yeah. Wow, I love that movie. Anything that Simon Pegg does, I will watch.
Yeah, agreed.
I love everything he's done.
Agreed.
I think he's hilarious and brilliant.
Yes. Did you catch the latest Mission Impossible?
I did.
Me neither. Oh, you did. I didn't.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
okay.
look, Ghost Protocol, I think, is one of the best ones.
Yes.
Then they went bigger, not necessarily better for 5.
Mm-hmm.
And then 6, right?
Or
The 7 is Dead Reckoning. That's out right now, right?
7. I don't remember, dude.
Because I think,
It might be. Yeah.
because Henry Cavill was in 6, right?
Yes.
That one is a close second to Ghost Protocol.
Yes.
I don't need more.
I don't need more. I
don't
loved Rogue Nation and the one with Henry Fallout.
Fallout, yes.
I love those two.
Those are great.
Ghost Protocol is my favorite.
Yes.
The other 3 are fantastic.
Yeah. 4, 5, and 6 is my Mission Impossible trilogy.
That's it. That's all I need.
And if you want to go back and watch 1 and 3, like if you want to see Philip Seymour Hoffman as a great bad guy,
so good.
go back and watch 3. I think 3 is great, but 4, 5, and 6 are my Mission Impossible trilogy.
Yeah.
Much like Star Wars, 4, 5, and 6 is my Star Wars trilogy.
Yeah.
They just made them in order.
Right.
And have Tom Cruise somehow looking the same age in almost all of them.
Yeah. I mean,
Plastic surgery
he's
is
also
one
an
hell of a-
alien, so whatever.
He's also I don't know if he's the alien or if he's the puppet that the aliens use to communicate with the humans.
Could be.
Dude, do you want to get conspiracy theorists
Oh, man.
real quick?
Well, before we do that, I actually want to take a full circle moment
Let's take a full
because I love watching action movies and talking about men's mental health. It's a nice way for me to decompress and it's a form of self-care. I think everyone watching TV decompressing. But you asked me what I was doing for my mental health.
Oh yeah, you said writing.
Yeah.
Is
what
there
about
more?
you?
Oh. So my big objective, and call me out if this doesn't answer your question. My big objective for this year has been to get out of the debt that has accumulated.
I've
in
seen
my
that.
life.
I've seen your TikTok series. I
Yeah.
think it's amazing.
Thank you. For those who are going to for some reason watch this podcast in full but not catch my TikTok or Instagram, I post every few days. It's day 90, it's day 95. I have 210 days left. I have 207 days left until the end of the year. And by the end of the year, I want to be completely out of debt. I haven't said on the TikTok or YouTube or Instagram how much debt I have, but my goal is to get rid of all of it by the end of the year. There is a mechanism in your brain that basically is your hope center, where you receive hope when you strive towards something and you see tangible progress.
Is it similar to like a dopamine response?
It is, but it's not an actual chemical reaction. It's more of it's your brain, so it is, but it's not like a dopamine, okay, now I'm happy. It keeps...
You're good. That was
Cool.
me.
It keeps you going. It's hope. It's basically the way of describing how hope works in your brain.
Okay, fascinating.
When you see tangible results, your brain is like, "Oh, we're doing it." And now I believe that I can do it more, or I can do it bigger, or I can achieve my goal. So seeing tangible results on this getting out of debt thing is a big positive thing that I'm doing for myself. Seeing any kind of progress in my life. It's hard as an actor or as a producer or as a someone in entertainment to see progress in our careers because it's not really tangible. You can't look at it. You can't look at a good audition, or you can't look at that casting director liked you. You can't look at those things. You can't show them. Whereas, if you're a carpenter, I built that bench.
Yeah.
Look at this bench. I'm touching this chair that I made. Or, if you're my dad, I painted that car. That car looked like this when it came in, when it was all dinged up, and now it looks like this. It looks better than it did when it came out of the factory. So that's been one of the big struggles about wanting to stay in this career and wanting to stay in this city, is not having anything that I look at day by day and being confident or comfortable or feeling consistent or happy with any kind of growth mindset. You know, it's not an easy city to live in. It's very lonely, even though there's a lot of people. And even if you have people that you are close with, that you consider best friends, you know, I consider you a best friend. We talked about it when you came in. Last time I saw you was February. And, you know, there was a very good reason for that. But I have another best friend I saw last night. Last time I saw him was a month ago. And that's another one of my best friends. You know, both of you will be at or in my wedding, you know, depending on how many, you know, if Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman say yes to standing up in my wedding, I'm sorry you're out. But, I mean, like, listen, if they say no,
I guess I'll do it. I'll think about it. We'll see.
It depends on how many. I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's all about how many bridesmaids the wife has, and like, oh, I have 11 girls that are standing up there. Great, I get to bring 11 boys up.
I can't wait to see the dress that I'll be wearing.
Oh my God! Just make sure it's not white, off-white, cream, beige, taupe. They say taupe is very soothing. So the getting out of debt thing, to long answer long. The getting out of debt thing, showing myself tangible progress that I'm making is a big thing that I'm doing for my mental health. I texted you about this. I have a book idea.
Oh, yeah.
Not to steal yours. It's not going to be, it's completely different, but the same. It's going to be more like a working book that you write in. And I'll tell you more off camera because I don't want to give it away.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's basically all the things that I've been doing to check in with myself. Writing a list of what I want to get done the next day in bed, nightstand, like little notebook, like everything. Like I clean the kitchen when I wake up, go get my laundry, vacuum. Gym for an hour, gym for an hour plus sauna. Yeah. You know, do I want to do the sauna? Do I want to just work out and go to work? You know, clean like something, you know, write all that stuff out the night before and then go in to the next day, not waking up like, okay, what do I got to do? All right, I guess I'll go make coffee. I don't really want to make coffee. It's like, you know, dishes in the sink. Got to clean those. I'll clean those later. Like, no, it's written down.
We're doing it.
Like you're doing it and then checking it off. That helps. Yeah,
I think the checklist thing is huge, and I love that idea and that framework. Seinfeld had something along those lines, where someone had asked him years ago about his process.
Not the show.
Not the show.
Okay.
The act, like Jerry Seinfeld.
Because I was gonna say, isn't it wild? And it's still true, but isn't it wild that Seinfeld the show is still in the zeitgeist?
Oh my God,
still relevant.
It's still relevant.
Like if you made it today and didn't change a thing about the script, you just had modern people in modern clothes.
It would
be the exact same.
Yep, 1,000%.
Yeah.
But he had a process of just like marking a day off the calendar every day. And someone had asked him about his process of being a comedian and how he's so good. And he was like, I commit to writing a joke a day.
Interesting.
And he just marks off a calendar. And he's like, I've done it for 30 years. He's like, I can't not mark off a day at this point.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't break the streak.
Right.
Right. And it's like that, like,
imagine breaking a 30-year streak.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you'd mentioned that that being an actor, there isn't any tangible proof that you're making progress.
Right.
The progress is just in the work.
Yeah.
And you can look back 6 months, 12 months, 2 years and go, oh my God, I'm so much better than I was 2 years ago. But in the moment, because there's nothing that you're looking at outside of like maybe self-tapes that's tangible enough for you to see like the baby steps you're making, that idea of a checklist of going, all right, I did this today, and I'll do it tomorrow, and it's 1% every day. Mm-hmm. And 1% every day over 365 days is 365% better. Mm-hmm. But you don't realize that you're doing it until you put it into something that you can visually look and go, oh,
Yeah.
I did this for X amount of days in a row. Progress.
You have to show yourself.
Absolutely.
And I think we kind of forget that because we know. Like I know that I'm doing the things,
Yeah.
but our brains are weird. Our brains are silly, mushy balls of electricity, and we like to tell ourselves lies all the time.
Facts.
There's a great Neil deGrasse Tyson story where he's doing jury duty. And stop me if you've heard it. He's doing jury duty, and they're doing a selection. So he hasn't been selected yet. And someone asks him, he's like, Mr. Tyson, are you comfortable being on the jury? Do you have any questions? He's like, I do have a question. Is the only evidence that's going to be presented eyewitness accounts? Because I'm unwilling to convict based on eyewitness accounts. And the judge got a little flustered, and he was like, is there anyone else that's unwilling to convict based on only one person having witnessed the crime? And and he's like, someone else said it. He's like, that's not what he said. And Neil deGrasse Tyson's like, now I resisted saying this, but I wanted to say, Judge, you don't even remember what I said 10 seconds ago. How am I supposed to trust what this person thinks they saw 6 months, a year, 2 years ago? Like, our brains are weird.
They are
and
weird.
I also learned a while ago, and this is one of those things you learn and it sticks with you. You don't remember things. You remember the last time that you remembered things. So,
Yep. And every time you remember it a little differently because you're recalling the last time you remembered it.
exactly. And your brain is a weird, mushy ball of electricity, and you don't, like, I sometimes wish that I had a photographic memory, and then sometimes I'm really glad that I don't. Because there are things I would love to remember. There are moments that I would love to mind palace myself back into memories, but no.
Yeah.
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 Because I think I would be sad and living in those moments, unwilling to let them go. And I
Yeah.
know for me personally, if I like don't change anything, just give me the photographic memory and I still love all the things I love, I'd be in Disney World every day.
Yeah.
I would just walk around
yeah.
Disney, take everything, and then I would come home and I would sit here and I would mind palace myself back
Yeah.
into Disney.
That's I think that's the gift of the eternal present, right? It's like you can think back to the things that you enjoy and that you love and that the experiences that you love, and nostalgia is a wonderful, powerful, beautiful thing. But life happens in the moment.
Yeah.
And like I love being here with you right now, and tonight, tomorrow, a week from now, a month from now, 6 months from now, I will look at our time together right now in this moment very fondly.
On YouTube, out next week.
Thanks for having me on, brother.
Thank you for coming on. Thank
Of
you for
course.
coming back.
Absolutely.
Like always, I feel we could do this for hours and hours, but
Oh,
time is working against us.
Listen, now that things have settled and very intentionally my time is much more dedicated to self-care, A,
Yeah.
and B, doing the things I want to do and not being trapped in spending time doing the things I don't want to do, we're going to make this happen a lot more.
What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean doing things you don't want to do? Do you mean working at the Happiest Hour on West 10th, 121st West 10th Street?
I think working at any bar at this point, I don't want to do anymore.
I tell people not to go now.
I know you do. We talked
Yeah.
about this.
Yeah.
I said that you should totally do it because
Yeah.
at this point, I mean, whatever. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Love almost all of them.
I love everyone.
You don't need to love everyone.
I know I don't.
It doesn't make you a better
But
person.
I'm grateful for the experience that I've had with everyone there because it's taught me valuable
That's true.
lessons.
Yeah, that's
And-
true.
And you can, I think, to cap this off, I think that the lessons don't always have to be positive.
Yeah.
They could be, oh, this is how to not do this terribly. Amazing. So happy I learned that. So happy I went through that. And it's behind me because I don't want to do it anymore. But that was a valuable lesson.
Did you ever catch the TikTok trend where it's the girls reacting to the audio and then the captions are like, me to the universe? Is it going to be my soulmate? And then the universe, it's a lesson. Just like, damn it.
I've seen a few of those.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Man,
Is this going to be the last job I have before I get out of the service industry ever? It's a lesson.
Yep.
Uh,
Well, not for me.
No.
I'm done.
You're done.
I'm done.
I grabbed several more on my way out the door.
No.
But these will be the last ones.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. You got
Good.
this.
Because when everyone smashes that like and subscribe button and we can monetize this bitch. I'm not on that camera, but still.
Okay.
End of the year. This is going to be a self-funded project by the end of the year.
That is a tangible goal.
That is a very tangible goal.
Gotcha.
We have 206 days.
Math. Sure.
Sure. Cool. Buddy, thank you so much again for coming on. You are always welcome.
Thank you, my friend. I love you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
You're amazing.
Anytime.
Congratulations on everything.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is where the outro music's going to play.
I love it.
I don't have outro music.
You should.
I should. There's a